Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I wanted to share with you a couple different chicken recipes. So just a bunch of dinner recipes using a pack of chicken. And some of them are only 5 ingredients. Some of them are Crockpot. All of them are family favorites. And I have a video on my channel all about my favorite ground beef recipes. So I wanted to duplicate it with some chicken recipes. And I hope that you find something new that maybe your family would enjoy. Now, I don't go into a ton of details on the step by step of this. I do share as much as I can, but I will link all of the recipes down below so you can see a little bit more about the details. But this is, I hope, a good way for you to just get inspired and maybe get you out of a recipe rut and try something new. Also, I do want to share that we are not chefs. We are just parents cooking in our kitchen, so there's nothing fancy. There's no special techniques or even any, knife skills to be had. It's just some everyday home cooking. So we have our chicken breasts, and we're going to use probably only about 2 or 3 of them tonight and save the other pack for another meal this week. And then we have breadcrumbs, broccoli, some Parmesan, and then some Parmesan pasta sides. So here are our 5 ingredients. We have chicken that we're gonna cut in half to make 4 different servings, breadcrumbs, mayonnaise, Parmesan, and then we're gonna do the broccoli on the side. So we love this recipe mainly because it does only take like 5 or 6 ingredients depending on what you serve as the sides. But this is always our go-to chicken recipe when we're kind of stuck in a recipe rut and we're like, all right, let's cook chicken for dinner. What do you want to do for dinner? We're always like, hey, what about that breadcrumb recipe? What about that, breadcrumb and mayo recipe? And it is just that good, that easy. We literally just cut the chicken breast in half. I feel like it helps the chicken go a little bit further. And then season it, prep it, put it in the oven for a few minutes. So shout out to Eric for lending his hands and his skills to complete this recipe. We make it so often so we don't even measure anything anymore. But you just put the mayo and the Parmesan in a bowl as well as a bunch of spices. We just do garlic powder, onion powder, lemon pepper seasoning, and a little bit of seasoned salt. But whatever your favorite seasonings are, just go for it. Then spread it out over the top of the chicken. This really helps it like stay moist as it's cooking because you're going to cook it really hot for only about 20 minutes or so if they're as thin like this. And then add the breadcrumbs in for the last 10 minutes. And that kind of gives it that little crispiness that's so delicious. Also, one of the easy things about this recipe is you really can't mess it up. I put it in at 375 and Eric thinks it's a little bit better if it's hotter. It cooks a little bit faster. So it just kind of works out. However, can't really mess it up. So we have this, man, this thing is old. This little like steamer thing for the microwave. And I don't think that they sell anything like this anymore, and that is a shame because it is the easiest way to prepare broccoli. You just chop it all up, stack it all up, and then it steams in the microwave and makes it so perfect and so easy. I mean, you can tell just by like the discoloration of it. It's like might be as old as I am. I hope that doesn't mean that I'm like vintage now. Now that I'm in my 30s, does that mean that I'm vintage? Anyway, here in the last 10 minutes, just add in the breadcrumbs and the final product. We have our chicken, our broccoli, and the pasta side. Okay, so tonight's dinner starts with some shredded chicken. So I have some rotisserie chicken that I've already shredded. And we have some buffalo sauce, blue cheese dressing, some bouillon cubes that I'm going to use for chicken broth, the cream cheese. Our spices are garlic powder, paprika, salt and pepper, and then probably about half a box of penne. So I know I said the last recipe was like our go-to chicken recipe, but this one is definitely our go-to chicken recipe because it's even faster and easier to put together, and it also makes a ton of leftovers. So we use this recipe a lot. It's also been the easiest recipe to convert to gluten-free. Eric recently had to go gluten-free, and so this was one of the recipes that we would make all the time, knew that he had something to eat. So it calls for a third of a cup of some hot sauce, some buffalo sauce, and that jar was almost empty, so I had to do 2/2 of a third cup. Add in some chicken broth, some cream cheese, and then once that's all cooked down, we also add in some blue cheese dressing and a bunch of other seasonings. And then you cook the pasta and add the chicken in at the end. And this is seriously like 20 minutes to put this together. We don't even serve it with a side, but you could, add in some bread or some side salad or veggies or anything like that. But it is so good on its own. We even cook it when we're camping in our RV. We'll make a batch of it, and so I can link a video I made down below where we shared all of our camping recipes, and this one's included. Also, this time I used rotisserie chicken, which is the hack. Let me tell you, that makes it so easy. But I've also made it with some chicken breasts, or if I had some leftover ones that were already cooked, I added those in. So it's very flexible. And this is the only recipe in this video where I use rotisserie chicken, but definitely a hack for this one. You'll see another recipe later on that's literally just chicken and sauce mixed together, and that's a meal in my book. Super easy and tasty, and it doesn't have to be complicated. So here's our 5 ingredients. We have the crispy chicken nuggets, some tortillas, Caesar dressing, Parmesan cheese, and then 2 different kinds of lettuce. This is kind of going bad, so I pulled this out so you can use whatever kind of lettuce you want. So I have shared this recipe before in a vlog a few weeks back, but this one uses the frozen crispy chicken strips, as you can see, and it's just a little chicken wrap and chicken Caesar wrap, basically. Super easy to make and also very easy to just kind of use whatever ingredients you have. If you have lettuce, if you have spinach or avocado, you could add that. And Eric makes it just using gluten-free tortillas, so also very versatile, easy to make gluten-free. And I love it because I can use these frozen crispy chicken strips, which is such a lifesaver to get some chicken in without actually having to cook anything, but using some, leftover chicken breasts that you've pre-cooked will also just be super tasty and a great go-to lunch as well. So here are the ingredients for tonight's dinner. We have a couple of chicken breasts, and I'm gonna just cut them in half to double them up. And then we have our sauce, which is going to be the ranch packet, some milk, a can of cream of chicken, and then a little bit of sour cream. And then for the sides, I'm gonna do the green beans, probably just like half this bag. And then I was debating between biscuits and the potatoes, but since it's got like a nice creamy sauce, we're gonna do some instant potatoes with it. These are the seasonings I used: garlic powder, Italian seasoning, seasoned salt, onion powder, and black pepper. Oh, that sizzle is so good. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to share this one just because I didn't have a ton of footage of it, but it was just so simple to put together. You literally just mix up the sauce, put your browned chicken breast into it, and cooked it. We went with the green beans on the side, and it was a super easy dinner and a lot fancier for the amount of effort that went into it. It was really easy. You literally just cook the chicken, cook the sauce, and you're done. I was kind of disappointed I didn't have more footage of this, but literally it was just mix all of those ingredients and then brown the chicken, and that was it. So, like I said, it was super simple, and there's not even anything to explain or a technique to do it. It's just that good. So here are the ingredients for tonight's dinner, and it's gonna be in the crock pot. So the recipe calls for a pound of chicken. This is actually 2 pounds, but we like it a little more meaty. And then you do some garlic and onions. I'm gonna chop that up. 2 cans of these great northern beans, a can of corn, 2 cans of the little mini diced green chilies. It calls for chicken broth, which I don't have any, but I have this little bouillon, so I'll just make some chicken broth for it. Some cream cheese, and then it also wants half and half, and I'll just gonna add that in right at the end. So some of the seasoning are salt and pepper, and then we have cayenne, oregano, and then cumin and chili powder. And we're gonna serve it with some cornbread on the side. And then we're gonna top it with, we have some of these Cxdy tortilla chips, some shredded cheese, and some sour cream. And I don't even think I said what we're making, but we're making chicken chili, white chicken chili. So this white chicken chili is another recipe that we like to make at the beginning of the week because it makes a ton of leftovers, and half a pack of chicken goes so far. So it's just a great way to stretch your money and stretch your food, and also very delicious with not a lot of ingredients and not a lot of effort. So this is one that we really enjoy making, and I really enjoy using my crock pot. I have a few different crock pot recipes in this video, and I think I want to make a video just on crock pot recipes. This one was just chicken recipes, and maybe one that's crock pot with a bunch of variety, as well as maybe like a vegetarian option. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd be interested in seeing. Now, let me know down below if you are a crockpot on low or a crockpot on high person, because I'm personally a crockpot on low and cook it all day. I like to bake it in the morning and then have my dinner ready to go. I feel like if I cook it on high, I'm making it later in the day, and it's like, at that point, might as well just cook dinner, on the stove or in the oven. So I guess everybody's got different preferences. That's my preference, although sometimes cooking it on high works in a pinch. So you can do low for 8 hours, but I run out of time, so I'm gonna do high for 4 and then finish it up. Also, I have tried using my mixer to shred chicken before, and it actually works really well. You just stick it in there and it shreds it all up. But I find that it's a lot of mess to have to clean up. Now I'm cleaning up my entire mixer. And also, if you overdo it, it gets like gummy. I don't know, it just doesn't shred evenly. It almost makes it like too small of a shred. It's hard to explain, but I think I'll take a little bit of extra time just to do it by hand, especially when it's cooked in the crock pot like this. It just comes apart so easily, and I feel like the texture is so much better. But there's lots of different techniques to use to make this an even quicker dinner to prepare. Also, I feel like this recipe would be good for like freezer meal prep. You could prep all of the ingredients except for the dairy Put it in your freezer, and then on the day of, cook it in the crock pot, and then just add in the dairy here right at the end. I think it just goes in for like 30 minutes just to mix it all together. So super easy recipe to prep that you could keep in your freezer and would be really great for a weeknight meal in a pinch. So here's what I'm making today for dinner. I'm gonna do chicken cacciatore in the crock pot and then serve it with egg noodles. So I've got my chicken here. We've got garlic. Gonna do half an onion, a red bell pepper, a can of diced tomatoes, and then a bunch of different seasonings. It called for like thyme and rosemary, which I don't have, but I did have the bay leaf. I think this will be my first recipe with bay leaves. So I just got some of my favorite seasonings out, and then we're gonna put that in the crock pot and then cook the egg noodles after, maybe serve it with some veggies, and there we go. So first of all, I did not use a crockpot liner with this recipe. I was all out, and I have to say it made cleanup so much harder. So I'm definitely the type of person to use the crockpot liners. And this recipe, I chopped the peppers and the onions and kind of sauteed them ahead of time. I also browned the chicken breasts so they were nice and crispy. And then you just add the can of tomatoes and let it cook. And let me just say, you don't even have to do this. The crock pot will cook it all down and make it all tender. I just had the time to kind of prepare it like this ahead of time, but even if you don't, it's just a couple of ingredients thrown together and made something really delicious. These are the types of recipes that I like, where they're easy but they're kind of fancy. You get some vegetables in there. I don't know, it's a home cooked meal, but it does not have to be complicated. Like, I wish I could explain the steps more, but the steps are literally put the ingredients in the crock pot and turn it on. And there you go. Dinner is done. Now, this is another recipe I've shared before in my C-Day vlog. I can link that one down below. But it's, again, very fancy recipe with not a lot of ingredients, lots of fresh ingredients, so it's a lot less processed. And it was also really fun because I think this is the first time I've ever used a bay leaf in a recipe. And I thought it was really funny that it had a shaker lid for a bay leaf because that's like completely useless. But again, I felt very fancy and grown up using a bay leaf. And it turned out so good, so easy to just pop it in the crock pot and have a nice home cooked meal with very low effort. I cooked the veggies ahead of time as well, and that's totally optional. If you put it in raw, still super tasty. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found a new recipe that you are interested in trying, and subscribe for more. I definitely have some other recipe videos on my channel, and I'll link them down below. Hopefully you'll see you soon.